Buenas, buenas. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Ooh. We have our favorite guest today, Hermosa. She has separation anxiety, so she is close to me today. Since it is spooky month and I haven't done a spooky video today, I actually have an update on a video that I did 2 Halloweens ago, actually. I'm going to do a quick recap of it for all our new listeners. So, if you want to stay and listen to the story, if not, you can scroll, but I had just found this out. So, long story short, this was in the 90s, if I recall, no me acuerdo. There was this guy and he had a talk show, and he would interview and do creepy things. The show se llamaba La Mano Peluda. Well, fast forward to this guy, he calls in and he's like, hey, I have a story to tell. This is a story. And he's like, okay, cool. What's up? He said that the guy on the phone said, I wanted to do everything I could in my power to become famous. So I called up Mr. Downstairs and told him hey, what do I do? He said, give me a soul. And yeah, he said that he sacrificed his grandma's life so he could have all the success he wanted. So then the guy off the talk show is like, interesting, but okay, keep telling me. So that's pretty much what happened. So fast forward to maybe a month or so después, they decide that they were going to interview him live. So it's Josuel. One of the guys' name is Josuel, and I cannot remember if Josuel is the dude on the show or the guy that died. The guy that got possessed. But anyways, so they go and set up this big old room, pretty much so they can film the episode that they're gonna do. So it's the director, the host, and camera people or something, and then it's the guy that got possessed. So what had been told previously was that the guy that got possessed went in and shook everybody with his right hand, but then when it came to the host, he shook him with his left hand. Well, a few days later, 2 of the camera people mysteriously passed away. And then a week later, the host died as well. So everyone's like, oh my God, this dude had something to do with it. He cursed them. It's all his fault and blah, 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 right? Of course, this is all allegedly. I don't know. Anyways, so that's that was pretty much the sum of it. So fast forward to literally almost 20 years later, I found the update. And according to the update was that the guy, so the host is dead. Okay, guys. So the host is dead. 2 of his camera people are dead. That's it. And they all think it's because the guy that he wasn't possessed, but the guy that sold his soul, he's the reason why everybody just died, right? So fast forward to 20 years, the guy that sold his soul goes and talks in a podcast, because now, everything's a podcast. Of course, because this one's hopefully everyone's favorite. Colu. Anyway, so he goes on a podcast, and then they pretty much were like, all right, here are the questions, you answer. We waited 20 years, let us know. So, of course, our first question was, did you really pretty much sacrifice your grandma, kill in an instance, pretty much, sacrifice her so you could have the life you wanted? And he said, yeah. And they're like, okay, why out of everybody in your family did you choose your grandma? And he said, just because she was old. He's like, she already lived a good life, she didn't need to keep living. I was like, oh, interesting. So, according to him, he really did kill his grandma. But sources say that his grandma didn't, die. She still lived. But who knows what, the truth there. And then, so yeah, that happened. And then fast forward to, I think a few months later, the host guy, he actually has a son. Well, the host's son and then the devil guy meet up and talk, and then everyone's like, whoa, what the fuck? You're gonna forgive him for killing your dad? Why are you talking to him? You should never speak to him. And then he's like, oh, I want to know what happened. Of course, there's always 3 sides of the story. His, theirs, and then the truth. So no one will ever know. But he's like, no, I want to know, what happened. And then so everyone's like, okay, whatever, do as you please, right? So anyway, so fast forward to that, they talk or whatever, and then his mom finds out and she's pissed. The little boy's mom, she's pissed. She's like, how in the fuck are you gonna go talk to this man? He killed your dad. And then she goes on an interview as well, and they're like, oh, well, what do you think? And then she's like, I don't think this is okay. She's like, I find it suspicious that after 20 years later, he finally wants to talk. Like, he's only doing it for the clout, like, literally. And then she's like, I feel like he's just saying a bunch of bullshit, pretty much. So, again, they go and interview the guy again. And then they're like, oh, well, why did you meet up with the son? What do you feel? Do you feel like what the mom said was correct? Like, cosas así, ¿verdad? And he's like, I pretty much went to go talk to his son so we could, like, let bygones be bygones in a sense. And he's like, and the lady, she's like, and then he's all like, no, like, I'm not doing it for clout. He's like, I just felt some type of guilt, but not enough guilt. Like, he said, like, he was kind of like, okay, like, yes, he's dead, but it's like, okay, like, who cares kind of guilt, he said. And then everyone's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, but I just never had time to, like, tell my truth. He's like, and now I do. And then everyone's still like, oh, that's suspicious. So then again, they're like, well, so since you don't have much guilt, like, did you feel, like, bad when the camera people crew died? He's like, no, he's like, that wasn't my fault. Like, I didn't do that. And then they bring up, like, the guy again. They're like, well, he died, like, a week after meeting you. Like, don't you find that suspicious? And he's like, no, like, ¿pa qué? Like, he was kind of like, feel bad. He's like, I didn't do anything. And everyone's like, you kind of did. And then, so, long story short, was pretty much like, he comes back 20 years later and says he didn't kill him. He did sacrifice his grandma, and it was just his turn to talk. But, like, nobody really cared what he had to say because everyone was just, like, curious about, like what the fuck, So, yeah, that was an update. Me, personally, I do feel like he, in a sense, killed those people. I know he physically didn't kill them, so he can't, like, be charged or anything, because, that's not gonna hold up in court, like, oh, he killed his grandma, so he killed me. Like, like, that's weird. So I know that won't, like, hold up in court. But, yeah, it's just, like, of course, like I've said, if there's good, there's evil. I mean, yeah, if there's good, there's evil. So I do feel like there was, how do I say it, like, negative energy around him. And usually they want more. Like, if you're gonna make deals with certain people, they're gonna want more. They're not just gonna want you, like, one soul and then call it a day. Like, they want more. Like, that's the whole point. So I do feel like, one, of course, since he did sacrifice his grandma, he was like, okay, like, thank you. But he's like, I want more. And then I think he did give him, like, some type of energy to be able to, like, for them to die, kind of, I no sé cómo explicarme bien, pero if you get what I mean, then yes. So I feel like in that sense, see, like, he did kill them, but, like, he didn't kill them. So yeah, that's my take on that. I also feel like the son, as a curious person as I am, I would want to be like, well, what the fuck too. So I don't blame him for saying, like, going and meeting, like, his dad's killer and being like, well, what the fuck. Especially, since he never got charged, he never went to jail, of course, because, like, how are you gonna tell the court that this guy did that? And I also do believe the mom as well, like, la esposa, because it does seem a little weird that 20, especially now that the way social media is and how easily, like, you can blow up and stuff, that I feel like he kind of did do it for a little bit of clout. Because I'm pretty sure his, like, what he wanted, like, because he said, oh my god, take a shot every time Columbus says, and, like, I'm gonna black out. But I do feel like he was losing some of his, like, energy, and it wasn't, like, doing what he wanted. So, like, of course he had to, like, go and, like, get more clout, in a sense. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but yeah, I just find that really fucking creepy. They're really fucking weird. Also, I've been on the side of TikTok a bunch of, like, spooky stories. So I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna tell you guys about them. They're really short, so but they're fucking creepy. And I was listening to them on my drive because I have like an hour drive home. So I was listening to them on my drive home, and then when I got home, I got scared because my dog kept barking at the wall, and I was like, oh my god! But she was barking at the fly, so I got a little less scared. Let's just hope that's what that was. No, pero sí. Anyways, so there was this mom and son that lives like in an apartment complex or whatever, and then there's two stories that are very similar to this. So this one's one of them. So I guess like they moved in, and then the little boy's like, oh, I have a friend. And I was like, who's your friend? And he's like, oh, Jojo. And he's like, who the fuck is that? And then he's like, oh, he like lives in my room. And she's like, okay, whatever. Like, kids have imaginations. If I have a kid and they start fucking telling me they got an imaginary friend, we're fucking moving, we're burning the house down, or we're doing something, because ain't no motherfucking way. I seen way too many fucking scary movies for that. Bye. To the fucking little. Anyways, so yeah, so she's like, whatever. And then I guess like she's noticed that every time like she takes a bath or she takes a shower, like no sé, like la agua, no sé. Every time she takes a bath, la agua se tapa. So like the water doesn't go anywhere. But every time she tries to give the little boy a bath, like the water like keeps running. She's like, what the fuck? So whatever. So she only gives him showers. And later on, the mom starts getting curious about like, you know, who's this little friend? And he's like, oh, he's like this little boy. He's like brown hair or something, right? And she's like, okay, whatever. And then the little boy starts saying like they have dinner, and she's like, oh, like, can you give him a plate? She's like, okay. They have breakfast, and she's like, oh, can you give him a plate? And the mom just plays along with her, right? Well, then it comes again to dinner, and she's like, oh, like, can you give him a plate? And the mom's like, no, like, you're wasting food, like. And he's like, no, like, give him a plate. And the little boy's like, no. Anyways, so the little boy ends up cutting his food and like shares it with him, and then like they're going to bed, and he's like, oh, mom, can you say goodnight and give him a kiss? And the mom's like, okay. So she kisses like the pillow or whatever. She's like, what the fuck? Like, she se está quedando like weirded out. Anyways, a year later, they meet one of their neighbors, and then the neighbor's like, oh, like, you guys remind me so much of the so-and-sos. And then she's like, who's that? She's like, oh, the people who used to live here. And they're like, yeah, they had a little boy. He's like, so sad. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then, so I guess that the little boy had cerebral palsy, and his name was Jojo. And then I guess the mom lo dejó in the tub to go do something, and then like he like slipped and fell and drowned and died. So this whole time, the ghost was just trying to make sure the little boy didn't drown. So sad. And then I guess once they moved, like, he never talked about him anymore. Like, he was kind of like the little boy se quedó like in the apartment. And I guess that every time they ask him about like his friend, he like actually like talks about him like if he was like they were like literal friends. And I'm like, that's creepy. That wasn't as creepy. I was a little more sad. But this one's another bath time one, and this one was creepy. So I guess that this little girl, she would see dead girls in her bathtub, and she's like, what the fuck? So like her mom would be like, no, like, let's go take a shower, and the little girl would be like, no, I don't want to shower. And then the mom would be like, no, like, you're gonna shower, like, you fucking smell, bitch, like, let's go. And the little girl like screaming and crying, and is like, no, I'm not gonna go shower. So the mom was like thinking like, she just didn't want to shower, and the little girl's like, no, like, it scares me to go in there. She's like, I see dead people, literally. And she's like, what the fuck? So I guess a few weeks later goes by, and I mean, she still showers, but her mom like forces her, like, so she's clean. So her mom like forces her, and then like she's talking to the neighbors, and then the neighbors like, oh, like, again, I'm so glad like you guys moved in. And then she's like, yeah, she's like, I didn't think no one else was gonna move in there after what happened. And her mom's like, the fuck you mean what happened? She's like, yeah, like this dad killed his little daughters. And she's like, what the fuck? She's like, yeah. I guess they had two daughters, the previous family. They had two daughters, y el papá las ahogó. Well, I guess killed them and then las ahogó. I don't know. Or killed them by ahogándolas. I don't know. Well, they died in the tub. And then that once they were in the tub, like, he like chopped up their body. Like, it was very, very, very gruesome. I wanted to look it up and see, but if not, I will link the TikTok that I saw it on. And then she's like, well, what the fuck? And she's like, yeah, like, these two little girls see them. And she's like, and then her mom starts thinking about it, like, maybe is that why what's her face doesn't want to shower? And then come to find out that like the little girl like kind of like explained to her like what she saw in the bathroom. I was like, it's because you see the little dead girls. And I feel like that's another sad one because they're just like just chilling there because they haven't been able to like cross over, and like they're just like still haunting, and that's just sad porque pobrecitas. Like it reminds me a lot about the it actually happened here in Colorado. Maybe like 6 7 years ago with Chris Watts, that he killed his daughters and his wife because he was cheating. So I just don't understand how a man can just kill his kids, because with the whole Chris Watts thing, Disque, after he killed one of the sisters, que la otra was just like, oh, are you gonna kill me too? Like, in a sense. And it's just sad that, like, they saw you just kill their mom, and then one of them just saw you kill her sister. So then you kill the other one, and then you like dump their bodies in an oil tank, and then go on the internet. Well, I guess like on TV, and you're like, oh my god, please come back, I miss you. Like, duh, he's like a psychopath and a size. Whatever the fuck the word is. But it's like, how are you just gonna sit there? And I'm not saying you should kill your significant other, but I feel like killing a child, like your own child, has to be a whole different type of like psycho, and like what the fuck is wrong with you? And then the fact that his mistress got away with it still blows my mind. But I don't. It's just like I don't know. And then cause you always see those stories about like parents killing their kids, and it's like, how are you just gonna kill your kid? Like, what the fuck? Like that's literally so fucked up. You're just gonna kill your kid? Like, what the fuck? Like, one that really gets me, it's, I think they're Middle Eastern. I don't know from where, but I know they're Middle Eastern. And I guess that Papa, like, he was super abusive, and it was the mom and two daughters. Like, he was, whatever. They divorced, and then, like, she ended up getting custody of the girls. Um, this is such a pretty angle. Just me laying down with my double chin wide out. Yeah, and then one of the times, I guess the dad's like, no, like, I miss him, like, I want to see my kids. And then the daughters are like, okay, like, we'll go. And I guess he was, like, a taxi driver or something, so he picks him up and takes him somewhere and just kills him. Just like that. Just because. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like people are just psychos, and I don't get it, and it's just, oh, I don't know. Like, to, like, just sit there kill your kids. I'm wrong. And like I said, I'm not saying killing your significant other is one thing, but like killing something that's like half of you, that like is so excited to see you, calls you mom or dad, like you made that's half of you, and you're just gonna kill it. And then I don't get it. Like, I really don't understand the people that kill other people. I mean, there's people that get away with murder, but nowadays, with all the fucking technology we have, like, they were gonna find you. Like, so, like, again, like I'm saying, like, I just don't understand how people just kill and then go to jail, and, like, either they're gonna get beat up by their inmates, or of course, they're gonna get, like, life in prison or solitary confinement. Entonces, it's like, you just killed somebody for who knows what, and then you just killed your own life. Like, what the fuck? I don't get it. I don't. It's so weird to me. It makes no sense to me. It's just, I don't know. I don't know, it's weird. But back to spooky stories. There's another one. This one really creeped me out. So long story short, I guess these girls were like 10, 11. Like, estaban bien chiquitas. And it was her friend, y su hermana. And they were playing the little board. If you know what board I'm talking about. Okay, they thought it was weird because that it would only work if like one, like, I think it was like the older sister would play it. Other than that, like, the thing wouldn't move or anything, and they're like, what the fuck, like, that's weird. So they thought she was making it up. And then I guess every time they would ask questions, like, the little thing se movía muy rápido, and everyone's like, oh, she's like faking it, she's making it up, like, there's just no way, like, it just doesn't make sense. So like, fast forward, it's just the friend, like, the girl and her friend. And then I guess the thing, like, oh, when am I gonna die? And the thing answers 22. And then, like, she was very, like, nonchalant about it. She's like, okay, whatever, writes it down. And her friend's like, what the fuck? And then, so I guess like 2 weeks later, her boyfriend died in like a really bad like car accident or motorcycle accident or something like that. And of course, everyone was like so sad and like devastated or whatever. And she was kind of like, eh. Everyone's like, why? Okay, so then she's like, pretty much like, it's okay. Like, I'm gonna see him in another life. Like, who cares? And everyone's like, okay, that's weird. But I guess she was like very accepting over the fact, like, she was very accepting over death. So everyone's like, whatever. So fast forward to like, I think they're like older, like 18, 19. She said that they like wouldn't talk anymore, but they were still friends, but like they wouldn't hang out anymore. So she found out that she was getting married. So she got married at 21. She went to her wedding. It was beautiful, whatever. And on her 22nd birthday, she she was married. She had a baby. It was all her and her family, right? And I guess they all went up to like the mountains or something. And mind you, she's 22 now. So they're like, okay. So they were like riding like not motorcycles, ¿cómo se llaman? 4-wheelers and like not mopeds, 4-wheelers. They were riding 4-wheelers or whatever, and then they take a break, and then they're like, okay, like we're gonna go ride them again. So her and her like cousin or friend, I don't know, get on it, and then magically the brakes don't work anymore. So like, what the fuck? So they're freaking out. The brakes aren't breaking. Like it's not working. So they like fly off the cliff, and the friend got really bad like injuries and stuff, and she died at 22 years old. Like that's creepy. That one literally gave me the chills. And then I saw another TikTok, and it was like, did she predict her death or did it kill her? And I think I've always been told that if you're gonna play it, never ask open-ended never ask. I mean, technically you're supposed to ask like yes or no, but never ask like direct like questions like that, like how or when or stuff like that, because it's like you just die when you die, and sometimes there's like freak accidents and you die young, or some like you get murdered or you get in a car accident or stuff like that that's not supposed to happens, and then you die. So I've always been told that like if you're going to do it, first of all, don't do it, guys, and then if you are gonna do it, like be careful what you ask it. So yeah, I feel like it killed her because what a coincidence that they were doing just fine y luego de repente her brakes stop working and then she just dies. It's like you shouldn't. I feel like it's normal. You should never know when you're gonna die. Like it's just gonna happen. And I hope we all live long lives until we're all 100. But yeah, I was like, that was honestly like it's such a creep. That one gave me the chills. That one creeped me out for sure. And I was like, alrighty guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm so glad I had a spooky update for the first one. But if you want to know more about the longer version of that, go to my Halloween episode 2 years ago, and then you'll hear all about it. But don't forget, guys, you can listen to me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can see my beautiful face on YouTube. Bye.